The first things first, I'm Sarah Kustok, that's Danny Knanell, Chris Broussard. We're filling in for Cece, Nick, and Jenna, who are out today, but we got a good show ready, right?
We have a great show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how good our content's going to be, but I think we're clearly the better looking crew.
We're to set the bar high off the bat,
Danny. That was mostly a shot at Nick. Like, it wasn't anybody else, just Nick.
Definitely better dressed, too.
Yeah.
Well, we're here, and the NBA was back last night, which is exciting. And last night, the new-look Cavs played their first home game since the big trade deadline acquisitions, and the results weren't ideal, with the Cavs losing 110 to 103. LeBron was his usual awesome self, scoring 32 points, including 14 in the fourth quarter. However, his new teammates combined for only 29 points. Here's what LeBron had to say after the game.
You know, like I told you guys, it's still a work in progress with us. It's not going to be overnight, no matter, the excitement before the break. We got a lot of things to work on, implement what we need to do, but tonight we still played to our game. We just didn't make a lot of shots. I think we played well tonight, even though we lost. And there's no, I hate losing, obviously, but I think the way we played, the way we shared the ball, defensively we were flying around as well. And those guys just, they played better than us tonight. So I like the start. I like the direction we're headed in.
Chris, well, LeBron obviously still seems positive about things, but was everybody too quick to jump back on the Cavs bandwagon?
It's interesting because you could see the excitement in his face, even in that comment after they lost. But look, I get it. I'm with LeBron. I was not on the bandwagon just because of the way they beat Boston and Oklahoma City. I looked at that trade from the moment it was made. I was like, okay, they're going to win the East because of the fit of the players. So one game last night, a loss, a home loss, that's not going to make me jump off the bandwagon. Defense was their number one problem. You added one elite defender at the point guard, the head of the attack. At the point guard, you need a great defender there. You had poor defenders, Isaiah Thomas, Jose Calderon, Derrick Rose. Now you have a good one. Then you added three athletic guys who have the tools to be good defenders. Larry Nance Jr., Clarkson, and Rodney Hood. Now, they're not that great defensively yet, but with those three players, they have the tools. If they buy in, they should be good defensively. So I'm still on board. I think there's plenty of reason to be optimistic in Cleveland.
Absolutely. I think that's the best word to use. It's optimism. And I'm still optimistic about the Cavaliers. But in saying that, when they started off 2-0, I just was kind of like, let's just slow down a little bit. And I get it. It's LeBron. It's the LeBron effect. Like, everybody wants to talk about him. You get excited about him. You want to see how this team can do, how they stack up in the Eastern Conference. But I do want to see. I'm actually glad they lost because I want to see how they respond to adversity. Because when everything's great and you got fresh blood in the locker room, everybody's in a good mood, yeah, everybody's going to love each other. But I want to see the honeymoon period end and start to see the marriage work and see if they can work out some of the issues that they are going to face, like when they go ice cold from the floor in the fourth quarter and they don't make any threes, or when they lose a game, and how do they respond at practice? How do they respond to LeBron's passive-aggressive styles? If he calls somebody out in social media, how does that respond? And I still, again, it did remind you, after the first two games, it did remind me a little bit of the optimism when Isaiah Thomas came back. In that first game, remember, he came back and he comes out and plays.
First two games.
Yeah, and everybody's like, this is awesome. This is going to be a great fit. Yeah. And I try to just slow down, relax, let's let it play out, let's see how this works. And I think this is just part of the process for the Cavs, is this 2.0 Cavs in this season, to see how they fit together.
Chris, you talked about their defense, and defensively they have better pieces, but also they fit better offensively. I mean, you got a roll man in Nance, you got LeBron surrounded by shooters, but do you still like how they play the style? They struggle from the three-point line. I mean, under 23% in the game. But are you still in on the style of play they're weighing, in the up-tempo nature?
Yeah, I mean, look, Ty Lue wants to push the ball. Obviously, they're much better equipped to run and push the ball. One thing, and he also wants ball movement. And I thought they got stagnant last night. They didn't have as much ball movement. That can always happen with LeBron because they can become LeBron-centric, understandably. But they have to make sure they keep that ball moving to get, because they have threats now. Other guys that can do things. So there's no need to just have LeBron be doing everything. But I also think at times, really not at times, this is their style, they become too three-point centric. Yeah. I mean, last night they took 35 threes. They take 6 more or 3 more threes per game than Golden State. And the Cavaliers are third in the league in three-pointers attempted. And I'm sorry, I know that's a big part of their game, but they are not like one of these great three-point shooting teams. Golden State shoots it better. Houston is slightly below the Cavaliers in percentage, but they have better three-point shooters. If you look at Cleveland's three-point shooters, the only one you would call a knockdown three-point shooter is Kyle Korver. Rodney Hood is streaky. LeBron certainly is streaky. You know, J.R. Smith is the very definition of streaky. So I don't think that Hood can slash and score in other ways. Obviously, LeBron can do it. Jordan Clarkson can do it off the bench. They don't need to be as three-point heavy every single night as they were last night and really as they are as a team.
Don't you think they're trying to have that style of offense to contend with the Warriors and contend with the Rockets, contend with those teams out west that they're going to have to beat to win a championship? Because I feel like that's what they're doing. And then also, and if you are off, and they shot 16% last night from the floor, it's going to look ugly. I mean, nobody outside of LeBron scored in the last 9 minutes of the game. And you wouldn't expect that to happen again. But they were also on fire those first two games when they were shooting 46% from three. So there's going to be a happy medium in there, and they do have to kind of find a balance on their offense. The other thing I think, too, that's going to take some time is this up-tempo, we're going to run, we're going to gun, we're going to pick up the pace. That takes time for players who have not been practicing that style, have not been playing that style, to get in shape to keep up with that pace. And I think you're going to see that kind of work itself out as they get used to playing each other, because it is a conditioning factor as well.
Yeah.
How different is it? You had guys like Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder coming over who had played at Boston, who felt like at that time they could contend with Cleveland and with LeBron. You got guys like George Hill, who was in Sacramento going nowhere. You know, between Nance and Clarkson, the Lakers, they weren't making the playoffs. Rodney Hood going at it with you. How much does the mentality shift of this team, or just the respect for LeBron, their ears on him, given the fact that these are guys coming from teams that likely, even if they made the play, if Rodney did in Utah, they weren't going to advance far. Now they've got an opportunity here to get to the Eastern Conference
That's
Finals.
huge. I mean, look, Isaiah Thomas, and I get it, he was playing for a contract.
Right.
You know, I mean, he wants to get paid this summer. That's going to be a problem with the Lakers. We'll talk about that later. But he was doing that. Dwayne Wade and Derrick Rose are used to being superstars. And even if you say to yourself, I know I'm not what I used to be, it's a different role in this team, it's hard to accept that, you know, mentally, and that your game style, the way you play, is not like a role player. You trying to do things like you want to be the star. Now, look, all these young kids, let's go down the line. Rodney Hood, he was doing great things in anonymity in Utah. You know, nobody really knew about Rodney Hood except hardcore basketball fans. He's been a good scorer the last few seasons. Then you got Clarkson and Nance, who weren't going to the playoffs. Then you had George Hill, he's 8 of his 9 seasons, he's been in the playoffs. With Indiana, he was used to contending for a conference championship. Now in Sacramento, he was, you know, there's no way he was happy. So my point is, all 4 of those guys are looking at this situation like, here's a chance for me to shine on the big stage. And that's one thing LeBron brought to Kyrie. Kyrie was playing great basketball before LeBron went to Cleveland, but being with LeBron gave him the opportunity to do it in the finals and on the big stage, and that took him to another level. And that's the case with all 4 of these guys. Believe that they are thinking, people are going to see me and now know what I can do.
You saw it. I saw it. When LeBron's talking to the media, and it was even after a loss, there still is an excitement there. And I think it does mean something. LeBron's the alpha male, right? He's the guy in there, the alpha dog, who's going to say, come follow me. And I think that gets old, even if you're his boy, even if you're D-Wade. I mean, if he's in there stressing, hey, we've got to work on the defensive side of the ball. You got to give me more effort. You got seasoned vets who have been around a while, Isaiah Thomas, and he's getting thrown into under the bus, and he's like, wait a second, this defense was awful before I got here. Like, all those issues, all the drama is now gone, and now they can focus on basketball and trying to, you know, increase their status in the Eastern Conference, get a better seed. And the fresh newness of this is really feeding LeBron and his energy as well, because now there is none of that drama.
One thing I've wondered about, even after the 2-0 start, beating 2 really good teams, LeBron, ever since he's been back to Cleveland, and actually in Miami as well, so that's what, the last 7, 8 years of his career, there's always been some drama in the regular season. And so I'm wondering, like, now everything is good, at least appears to be good. Will there be some drama to come? Like 2, 3 weeks from now, will there be a crisis or something? And if not, will he be comfortable with smooth sailing into the playoffs? Because it's been almost a decade since he had that.
I think he'll have enough trying to reacclimate these whole new guys. I think it's test enough.
The challenge is fine, but I'm talking about the tweets, the cryptic tweets, and there's always been an issue in Cleveland. I don't want to see it again.
No.
I hope
but
there
do you
isn't.
think that's something that he needs?
Well, look, David Griffin was their former GM. He used to always say that this team and LeBron thrive in, chaos.
Right.
Well,
don't forget, there is another piece coming back when Kevin Love comes back. So we'll see how that works.
I think that will be a challenge to work him in.
Are you setting us up for chaos later in the show? Coming up, why are the Jets backing off Kirk Cousins? We're going to talk about that next on First Things First.